Well, welcome back to another episode of Fox Sports Lab NRL. As always, Josh Morris joins me this week. Josh, we're looking like we're in our familiar environments this week as we chat round 24 of the NRL.
Yes, it's a lot warmer in the house than it was on the golf course on Monday, but I did have a lot of mates that checked in on me to see how my game was, and it was horrible.
Well, better luck next time for that one. Let's turn the attention to the footy now, Josh. Round 24 kicks off this evening with the Seagulls hosting the Panthers. The Seagulls, they're coming off that loss to the Roosters last week, where the Panthers, they are just on a roll at the right time this season. What do you like about this matchup, and how do you see it faring out?
Oh, look, if Manly want to play finals football, they have to win pretty much every game. They're starting to lose touch with that top eight. They had a mountain of possession against the Roosters last week, but just couldn't capitalise on it and get the victory. And they come up against the Penrith side, who took on a Storm side who were depleted to an extent, but their attack was clinical. But what I did like was the defence. In the last 6 weeks, they've let in less than 16 points. They're really starting to knuckle down with this defence. So Manly have to score points if they want to beat Penrith. I just don't see it, and I think Penrith will win this one quite comfortably as well.
Yeah, they'll have to be looking out for Brian To'o this evening as well. He's scored 6 tries in his past 4 games, so he is on fire on the wing there for Penrith. We'll move on to Friday's game. The Sharks hosting the Titans. Now, we know the Sharks managed to turn the season around. Hines was back in form over there in Perth, and they were back in the winner's circle. They come up against a Titans side who have proved themselves time and time again that they can take it to some of those top sides.
Yeah, I really think this is a danger game for the Sharkies. Obviously, after their performance last week, when not many people gave them a chance against South, and they come out and put 26 points on them straight away. If they're the littlest bit complacent against the Titans here, they'll get beaten. Big Tino's back in for the Titans. They are missing AJ Brimson, but the Titans have a lot of points in them. And one thing that the Sharkies have needed to work on is their defence. If they get their defence in check, well, then I can see them winning this game. But if they're not willing to do the dirty work in defence, well, then the Titans can certainly upset them.
Oh, well, maybe an upset on the cards in that one. Now, the later game on the Friday evening is the Broncos coming up against the Eels. We know where the Broncos are at in this season. They're chasing their first minor premiership since 2000, which is some 23 years. There's still that to play for. We know Payne Haas has been in the media this week. He's off field. The contract negotiations is hanging there in the background. Could that serve as a distraction for the Broncos heading into this one against the Eels, who too want to be there in September?
No, I don't think this will be a distraction at all. I think Payne goes out and lets his footy do the talking. I think they probably had a number of distractions at the back end of last year and fell away. So they've probably learnt those lessons from last year. And I just think they're a different side. I think Reece Walsh, if anyone's making a claim for that fullback spot for the Australian jersey, it's certainly him. With the Origin series that he had and the way that the Broncos are playing, I mean, if James Tedesco, at the end of the year decides that his time is up, well, then I think Reece Walsh is the number one for Australia.
Wow, massive raps there for Reece Walsh. Let's see what he can do in Lightning, like he's called the Reece Lightning out there for the Broncos. Okay, let's go to the Saturday's first game up. Rabbitohs taking on the Dragons. Obviously, the Bunnies looking to bounce back from last week's loss. They've got a full fit firing squad at the moment. We know Latrell Mitchell was missing last time these two sides met. What does he provide in this game against the Dragons, who we should be wary of at this time of the season because they can play with how the top end finishes? They almost are a little bit of a threat too.
Yeah, they are, and they want to finish their season off strong as well. And Souths were probably the most disappointing team of last week. Their coach gave them a fair spray at the end of the game. They head up to Cairns today. I had coffee with Damien Cook this morning, and obviously they were disappointed with their performance last week, and they're looking to put in a much better performance this week. So I think the Bunnies will bounce back here. But you're right, the Dragons, they can upset a couple of teams if they don't turn up, and they really took it to the Eels last week. They were probably pretty unlucky with that controversial call of the stripping by Gutherson that got disallowed. So they probably could have won that match as well, and they'll look to go up there and put in a good performance and try and get the win against this Bunny side. But I think if the Bunnies are serious, they win this game.
just talking about those sides, and we move on to the Tigers and Warriors next, but these teams that are sitting outside of the top eight and can't make finals, how much does their mindset change at this time of year, given what impact they can have on the competition, including the top eight, who's there and who's not?
Oh, it's massive. It's an incentive for the players to go out, not only to play for the club, but to also try and upset those teams and try and cause a bit of disruption in the table. And you certainly don't want to finish down the bottom end of that table. And that last month of football, you really want to try and string some wins together so that there is a bit of hope heading into the preseason. So I'm certain that's what the Dragons will want. And they'll want to impress their incoming coach Shane Flanagan as well with a solid month of football.
Yeah, absolutely, no doubt. And also the Tigers will be looking to finish on a high, but the job is pretty high. It's a home game for them, but it's in Hamilton, coming up against the Warriors, who we know what they've been able to produce so far this season off the back of Sean Johnson and Adam Fanua-Blake laying that platform for the Warriors. How do you see this one faring out?
Yeah, well, this is another one where if the Warriors don't show up, the Tigers can get them. They took Canberra all the way to the end in their match over the weekend. They were unlucky to lose that one. It's a hard one, though, when you take a home game over to New Zealand. They are hard to beat over there, let alone taking a home game over there. So I think the Warriors, the crowd there will be very much slanted towards the Warriors. And the way that they're playing, I think that they'll get the job done here. I think Sean Johnson, if he puts in another couple of good performances, I think he's got the Dally M sewn up.
Yeah, wow. Dally M for Sean Johnson certainly is in the conversations. That's sure. We can't argue with that. Okay, let's move on. The other Saturday game, the Roosters hosting the Dolphins. Now, let's cast our minds back to the last time these two sides met was round one. No one really knew what to expect from the Dolphins, and no one had much hope, including yourself. You said it here on Fox Sports Lab NRL, and they shocked the competition. The Roosters were looking to square the ledger against them and also to try and somehow make the finals if they can mathematically, Josh.
Yeah, that's it. I don't think they will have forgotten about round one either. I mean, all the hype that was surrounding the Roosters going into that game, I thought that they would win comfortably, and they were ambushed. It was an old-fashioned ambush, and they showed that they were a team to be reckoned with from round one, and they've gone on to notch up plenty of wins. Obviously, fallen away the back end of the season with injuries and suspensions and whatnot, what we thought would happen. But this is one that the Roosters need to win, and they need to start scoring some points as well. Obviously, their attack is down the bottom in terms of their rankings. They showed on the weekend that they've got points in them, so they need to score some points and get some wins if they are a chance of making the final. So I've given them another chance this week, Eloise, so I'm sticking with the Roosters.
One more chance for the Roosters from Josh Morris. Let's hope they can get across the line and stay in the winner's circle. Sunday's first game up, we've got the Storm hosting the Raiders. This is a little bit of a tricky one to pick. I suppose the Raiders on their day can, upset big teams. The Storm, well, they're coming off one win, they're coming off a loss. They've had a little bit of up and down in recent weeks, but they are still up in that top four. Pappenhausen is perhaps on the cusp of making a return. How much is he, I suppose, crucial and important to this team in terms of being there at that September time?
Well, I don't think they can win the competition without him. He's that bigger part of their team. We've seen that the way that he lights up their attack as well. And Nick Meaney has done a fantastic job in his absence. Let's be fair there. He's a quality football player, but Pappenhausen has that X factor. And the Raiders, they haven't lost at Amy Park since 2018, so they won't have any fears about going down there. Last week's performance, the Storm, though, no Coates, no Hughes, and the week before Hughes was man of the match. So they're two big inclusions. But yes, all eyes will be on the Storm's team list every week, just hoping to see Ryan Pappenhausen come. And like I said, I think with him in the side, I think they're a genuine premiership threat.
Yeah, wow, that is a big inclusion, and that's a big statement from you, Josh Morris. Lastly, let's round out round 24. The Knights hosting the Bulldogs. We know what sort of form the Knights have been in. They've strung some wins together off the back of the return of Ponga. They look like they're sort of galvanised up there in Newcastle, rather. Come up against Bulldogs who still want to prove themselves, and we know what they've got in order for 2024 and the players that they've recruited. But it's like you said, making a big statement in the last month to round out the year.
Yeah, that's it. They've got a number of key signings coming to the club. But remember, only a month ago, the Knights beat the Bulldogs 66-0. So there's still a dirty taste in the Bulldogs' mouth, and they'll want to go up to Newcastle and get the job done there and try and spoil the Knights' chances as well. So this is it's a danger game for the Knights. If they're not on, the Doggies, Kickout has been great since he's come back, and he's given them a boost. And Burton and Sexton have looked good in the halves combining. So they do have some talent there, but I've tipped the Knights here. I just think they've got a lot of momentum behind them. The crowd will be right behind them there at Newcastle. So I see them winning this game and staying in the top 8.
Before we let you go, Josh, can the Knights be a big smoky here? Are you convinced by what they're putting out each week?
Oh, look, I think they're playing some great football at the moment. Whether or not they can challenge the top 4 sides, I'm not too sure at the moment. I might need to see some more football, but I can tell you that momentum is a powerful thing when you're heading into finals, and they've certainly got plenty behind them.
Yeah, absolutely. Josh Morris, it's great to join you each week as we wrapped up, or preview rather, round 24. Can't wait for this weekend's action of footy, and we'll chat next week to review it all.
Thanks, Eloise.
Imagine what you could be buying instead. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.